Recorded live from Random Secret Studios in Philadelphia and across the Delaware Valley.
I'm the capo. He's the prez.
And this is Sons of Ben, the pod. Adam and Devin, welcome back to Sons of Ben, the pod. We took a little week off because, January. And Adam, Devin. Adam, you'll know this. Devin might not, and I'm not sure if our guest will. But this is episode number Chooch. Juan Carlos Ruiz, the baseball player, not the striker. This is episode number 51. We made it that far. And before I introduce our guest, I have to give a warning out because Devin told me I had to. If you are playing the drinking game at home, just be warned.
You're gonna die.
But I hope you're not watching. I hope you're not listening to this while you're driving, especially if you're playing the drinking game. We don't advise that. But our guest is from Glasgow, Scotland. Moved to the bustling burbs of Wayne, PA. That's one time. He's doing something, Adam, that not even the Philadelphia Phillies can do. They haven't been able to do this for decades.
What's that, Matt?
He's building a future. He's building what in baseball they call a farm system for your Philadelphia Union. So he's the Academy Director of YSC. Welcome to the pod, Tommy Wilson. Tommy, thanks for coming on.
Pleasure, Matt. Thanks for having me.
And please, I don't care what John Middleton does at the Phillies. Don't let him steal you from the Union. We need you in the position you're in right now. I don't want the Phillies to throw you that baseball money or anything.
They're not.
Yeah, well, as a proper Scotsman, that might entice me a little bit, but I don't see myself going anywhere soon.
I don't think the Phillies are smart enough to even make that move in the first place, so
That is true. Devin, we will do our housekeeping really quickly and then get right into Tommy because I know last time we took like 45 minutes to get into housekeeping and
let's do it.
And you were killing me on it. So real quick, everyone, beer of the pod, yards, 2SP in the Larimer, and for all you playing at home, Tommy is again on the list. Tommy, we apologize. Normally we'd have you in the studio, and one of our sponsors, one of those breweries, were always nice enough to bring beer in so we could have it with our guests and have a beer and a chat. But because of COVID, we can't do that. So you're now on a list of people that we owe beers to. So you just tell us when and where, and we'll bring the pints.
Well, I'll take you up on that. You can be sure of that.
I love this.
Well, we still get them from the guys, so not a problem. Sons of Ben news. Boy, we got a little bit, so I'll get through it quick. It's time to renew. Adam, did you see the scarf got released?
So I'm very privy and very blessed to be able to talk to Ryan Bross when he's dropping these scarves ahead of time, and I was excited for this one, and I'm happy that the people get to see this one too. Because look, there was a lot of great that came out of last season. The Union in more ways than one established themselves as a premier franchise in this league, and I think that the Union scarf, the Sons of Ben scarf kit this year, it really signifies, the step forward this team took. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, the 2021 kit, the scarf looks great, celebrates not only the Shield, Subaru Park. It was a member submission. I apologize. I cannot remember the member's name. I'll remember that next time. But no, I wanted to say it looks great. So get online, sonsofben.com. Put your $35 in and join this year. This is going to be the season you want to be part of. It's only going to get better and better because of our guest. Like we said, it's off season, so Ernst is working his magic, and so are we. We're securing some more partnerships and just hoping that we're going to be able to tailgate and be back in the stadium. Adam, I got to do it. World Cup 2026, www.philadelphia2026.com. Log on and pledge your support because we're trying to bring the World Cup to Philadelphia. And two things from me, and then I let it go to Devin. Happy belated birthday to the Sons of Ben and Ben Franklin on Sunday. It was our 14th birthday. And apparently Devin said it's the pod's anniversary. Adam, it's been a year we've been doing this stuff. It's unbelievable.
It was, as I told everyone, I put in the bio of our Twitter, you and I had a terrible idea, and Devin made it happen. And we are a year in to this horrible experiment that somehow some people listen to. So I'm here for it. Cheers. Thank you all.
Yeah, my dad's probably turning it off right now, but okay. So Devin, Drunken Union Zoom still going on?
Still going on.
All
Every
right.
week.
Every
Strong
Friday,
too.
7:30.
JT holding court
Has
last
it been?
week. Yeah, JT was holding court last week. I mean, there's been a lot of low-key soccer news, some Union news here and there, some little gems. So when you want to get some information, you go to the source of soccer information in the Delaware Valley, Mr. Jonathan Tannenwald.
And I'll warn Tommy now. So during the pandemic, some of our members and Union fans started a Zoom happy hour, and they have been relentless inviting everybody and their grandmother. So you are probably now prominent on the radar. So you will be getting tweets, Snapchats, Twitches, whatever you social media platforms you don't have. They'll be asking you to join the fun on Zoom on Fridays at 7:30.
All right, I'll wait with bated breath to get my invite.
Jarrett Jarrett is listening to this right now and is scrambling to his phone to make that happen. So don't worry, it is on its way.
All right, Devin, anything on that Discord before we get to our guest?
Discord's been great. As Adam said, there's been small news trickling in, and the Discord is probably one of the best places to get your news. I swear I get a notification from the Discord before I get any other notification from any other platform. It doesn't matter if it's Union, European, US men's, women's team, NWSL, the whole shebang.
There are people
all
on
in
this
there,
Discord that I assume have like text alerts or like Twitter things. Something is letting them know instantaneously that a center back from Istanbul is now available for the Union to scout. Like that, it's incredible how quickly our little network of like dudes we know are like half out scooping like actual real journalists when it comes to this stuff.
One other thing too, somebody started a Twitter account this week. I want to give a quick shout out for I don't know who started it. I suspect it's one of the Doopy brothers, but it is a Union Deals Twitter account that tweets out about when Union kits or Union gear goes up on eBay for like super cheap. Snag a couple of kits, so that's been pretty cool to keep an eye on.
We're now a club long enough to
Oh,
have
man.
throwback jerseys, so it's like now everyone's
Yeah,
like,
there
you gotta
you go.
scoop up that old school baby blue if you can find it.
Oh, so we didn't scare our guest off yet, so that's good. Tommy, just wanted to get some background, and here's my question. How does a lad get from Scotland to Wayne, Pennsylvania? How does that happen?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll give you a brief answer.
Oh, you're Scottish.
So-
We don't believe that. It won't be brief, but that's fine.
Well, okay. So back when I was playing at St Mirren in the mid '80s, I think just the year before we won the Scottish Cup. Actually, we won the Scottish Cup in 1987, Scottish FA Cup. A player from the US, I think his name was Peter Learer. I think he went on to coach at Harvard, maybe. He came over on trial, and St Mirren brought him in on trial because we thought he was part of the US Olympic squad. But I think it was the Olympic Development Programme, and we in Scotland didn't really know what that was. So, I've found out since that there's ODP in every state. And so Peter came over, and myself and my friend and goalkeeper at St Mirren, Campbell Murray, were into coaching. So he invited us back to the States to coach in the summer, and we had a long off-season. And we went to the camps. My first trip to the USA was a week in Austin in Texas and 3 weeks in Santa Barbara. And the Austin was a great city, and Santa Barbara was you can imagine. I thought the whole of the United States was like
We're
that.
so sorry to disappoint you. And then he went to Nebraska and was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
That
Well,
might have
Wayne
been the.
PA is quite like that, to be fair.
This man is already speaking the language that I love. I'm here for this.
So anyway, one of the coaches on the camp that I went to was Bobby Clark, who was a legend in Scotland, still is, Aberdeen and Scotland goalkeeper, coach at Notre Dame, Dartmouth, Stanford. So I connected with Bobby, and from there from my connection with Bobby, I made a connection with Richie Graham, who played for Bobby at Dartmouth. I went over to the camps for the next 5, 6, 7 years and made a number of contacts. I understood then a little bit more about the potential of this country when I saw the quality of the players. And I thought, maybe one day it would be interesting to work here. So I kept in touch with Richie. He invited me over a few times. I was at Rangers at the time. Rangers are massive club, Champions League, but they had some issues with ownership around that time, and I thought, it was a great opportunity to come over here. So that's how I ended up at Union.
Okay. And your background, I mean, besides playing in Scotland, we know you were with the Scotland FA, the U19s, so a lot of development, and then to the Rangers, which again, you said it. When you think of clubs in the Scottish Premier League, you pretty much think of two teams. That's about it. And Rangers is one of them. So long line of that, and then good for us. You met Richie. We've had Richie on the pod. We are, as fans, we are totally impressed with what the Academy has done, because as a member since 2010 and hearing about this Academy from, 2013-ish, you kept hearing ownership saying, we're going to build from the Academy. I kind of felt like Jack and the Beanstalk, and we had a bunch of magic beans, and we just gave up the cow. So now to see it come into fruition, we're like, wow. And I was telling Devin and Adam, I was at the Academy today because we brought the shield so some of the players and the staff could get pictures. And it's an incredible place to witness. And like I said, there was 12 and 13-year-old kids that would have schooled me at my best at 18, 19. So watching some of that talent is just amazing. How many students are at the school versus how many players do you guys have roughly?
Roughly, we have around 120 players, and approximately 50% of them are in the school. I think that would be the easiest way to understand it. So, so not all of the players are in the school, but a good majority are. Enough that we can have our senior teams training in the morning and in the afternoon, because the school accommodates that. A lot of the younger players, those that are 9, 10, 11, 12, are not in the school as yet. They're not in high school or middle school. So it doesn't make sense necessarily for them to specialise too early. But, the school, I've said this many times. I've been afforded the opportunity to travel extensively across the planet to see the top academies in the world. And we aspire to be one of them. We're trying our best to catch up with the top ones. Our school has the potential to be as good as there is there, and we're very grateful to Richie for having the vision to put that in place.
Yeah, and we think you're there, at least when you're comparing yourselves to MLS. We know Dallas and Real Salt Lake have got great academies, but I've got to imagine, since the Aronson deal and now the McKenzie deal, your phone has got to be ringing off the hook from parents of academy players all over the country that want to get part of this Union magic.
Yes, that's when I came, first of all, I had a good reputation because I'd worked for the national team in Scotland, as you mentioned, and we did really well. We got to the final of European Championships, and then I came and there was this big investment. There was a fanfare, not because I was here, but because the Union was investing. And I always felt that it was nice to get the publicity, but we would earn that publicity when we started developing players. And I knew that it would take some time. And that's proven to be right. But since Mark and Brendan and Anthony and Matthew and Jonesy and Austin Trusty before them, Matt Freeze, since these boys have hit the first team, we don't need to sell the programme anymore. People know we have a good academy, we have an excellent school. But what we absolutely explicitly have is a pathway to the pros. You know, many clubs can say that. At my old club at Rangers, we developed many top players. Not many of them played in our first team because Rangers were a Champions League club and it was so difficult to get in. At the Union, since Ernst and Ernie before him, with Jim Curtin at the helm, these guys are brave enough to put the young players into the team. And you're right, my phone has been ringing off the hook with people wanting to come from all over the country.
I mean, it makes sense, when you see the amount of talent that is now almost on a regular being produced here. I have friends who know nothing about MLS who are the what we like to call the Euro snobs, who are like, I only watch European soccer at 7:30 in the morning. I would refuse to watch Major League Soccer, but we're now like, oh, I heard your club sold Brendan Aronson to Red Bull Salzburg, and that you sold Mark McKenzie, and that you have more guys coming through and they're being scouted, and that you're like producing from all these other parts of the globe. And it's like this youth academy is even getting casuals, to even put notice on the Union, because it's putting people in not only first teams but on national teams. And I think that's really a testament to what's going on over there at YSC, and how that's been going and how y'all have developed that since the early stages of, I believe, what was it, 2013 is when you guys really got the system going.
I arrived in 2013, and that's when we there was a program here before. One of my former coach of mine, Ian Monroe, was heading that up, and Phil Carn and Kevin Coleman, Mark Lukansky, these guys were the pioneers. So there was a program there, but we really started to invest in 2013. And it's quite remarkable that it's all come together just at this moment, and that Brendan and Mark, two guys who've been with us right from the outset, are the ones that provide proof of concept. It's an incredible story, really. You couldn't make it up. It's funny, when I was in Scotland, I've come from Rangers, and it was all over the Scottish press that Philadelphia Union centre-back Mark McKenzie was signing for Celtic, their biggest rivals. And my phone was red hot with Scottish journalists wanting to know the story behind it, and I just ignored them. I thought, I'll not get back into Glasgow if McKenzie signs for Celtic, So I'm kind of glad he's gone to Belgium.
Now, you did mention proof of, you would. There would be half of the city you'd welcome, and then the other half you want to be welcome back at. Yeah, that's You talk about proof of concept, and I guess the only question I have: are you grateful that you didn't fire young Jim Curtin when he first came to the academy as a coach? Said, you know what, you're no good at this coaching thing, Jim. Maybe go do something else.
Well, it's funny. Jim, when I arrived, Jim was. I think Jim had just returned to the city. I think he was hankering after playing, and maybe the coach at the time didn't have him in his plans. So Jim and I, our paths were, we kind of crossed a little bit. As I arrived, Jim was moving out of the Union Juniors program to be an assistant coach.
Okay.
And then, so I would never have hired Jim Curtin. I've never have fired Jim Curtin, I should say. Sorry, Jim. That was a Freudian. But the interesting thing was when Jim took on the coach's role and John Hackworth left, I was there and helped him. Jim asked me to assist him. I had obviously had experience from working at Rangers with senior first team players. So I spent 6 months with Jim, and doing my academy director's job at the same time. So it was never going to last forever. But I think Jim and I gained a lot of trust in each other at that time. It was a real privilege for me to work with our first team and to help him in those early days. And our relationship remains really strong as a result of that.
Yeah, one of my favorite moments of this year, and this year's had so many great moments, even though it was 2020. But when Jim won Coach of the Year, I don't know if it was just Union Twitter or if the team put it out, but they had the picture of Jim, all 6'4", 6'5" of them coaching what looked to be 6-year-olds in an
Yeah.
indoor soccer pitch, and you're just like looking at like, look at how that began, and now this guy won the highest honor for a coach in Major League Soccer, and it was just one of those moments as a Union fan. I'm like, wow, dreams can come true. Like all this long hard path is paying
Yeah.
off. So it was. We always speak highly of Jim. Well, mostly. Adam sometimes trashes him.
Jim knows for
Yeah.
sure that if any person has defended him for the longest, it was Adam Christopher Booth. So let's not pretend it was anything otherwise. No.
Yeah, no, I think in all seriousness, guys, though, two things that all coaches, myself included, you learn somewhere and you make your mistakes somewhere. And you're better making your mistakes with a 6-year-old than you are with a 25-year-old first-team player. So I think that those experiences gained as a young coach will have stood them in good stead. And I can remember Jim, the tough times he went through as well, as all first-team coaches do. And it's testament to his resilience that he stuck at it. And I think it's a credit to the senior members of staff at the club that have stuck by him. And you need patience and a vision and foresight to have success. And if you think of the technical staff at the club, we've all been there for quite some time, and I think that plays its part in the success that the club has had.
Oh, without a doubt. And we had Jim on the pod, and the one question we asked him, we're like, how many technical directors have you had as being head coach? And he lost track of how many people were in that role throughout. And the way that Jim was able to, adapt with each person's vision, but then keep his own vision has been a testament to what he's done.
Yeah.
And honestly, as Devin and Adam and I have talked, as much as fans worry about what players we're going to sell or trade or lose, we're worried about losing Jim right now. We're worried about European clubs coming in and swooping Jim out of Chester, PA. So we're trying to nail him down and make sure he doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, no, and I think that's I think that's a good problem to have, because it means he's been doing well and that the club's been doing well.
Yeah.
And that we lose our players. I always think that if the club is run properly, it's a pathway for players and a pathway for staff. And like Jim was in the academy, BJ Callahan was in the academy, Jay Cooney, Garrison Draper. These guys came through the academy and went in and became first team staff. So we hand in hand with the development of players, we should be developing staff and developing people.
And real quick, just to go back to the tactical part you were saying, how much does the first team tactics and what the first team wants to do factor into what happens in the academy and maybe some decisions that are made on that end?
Well, I think that's where not all clubs have a common approach when it comes to a first team and the development structure. I remember speaking to Walter Smith, who was a famous Scottish coach, the Rangers coach. I called him Gaffer. What's your philosophy? He says, it's too dangerous for me to have a philosophy. I've got to win games. So, in big clubs like that, that's the pressure. But we with Ernie and now with Ernst, we've tried to put in a sort of methodology that begins. You could start it at the top or at the bottom, but it's similar right the way through. So the way that our first team plays is very, very close to that our second team plays, and our under 17s, and so on and so on. We might not line up in the same formation, but our identity is the same. And if you didn't know much about the game and you didn't know which shirts was which team, you should be able to identify the Union team by the style of play. And that's something that we, as a technical staff, have worked really hard to achieve. So, Ernst has brought a different approach to the way that we play. I've been charged with making sure that through all the teams outside of the first team that there's a commonality to that. And I think you would, if you come and see all our teams play, you'd be able to notice it.
Now, is there a better endorsement that you could possibly get than when Ernst says, yeah, here's all of the draft picks. We don't need those. We're just going to work through the pipeline,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a brave statement, because, it's not necessarily in the culture here in this country. But it certainly was a compliment to me and the staff that Ernst was putting his trust in us. And so far, it's been proven to be right. And that's not to say a lot of my friends are top college coaches in this country. And that's not to say that there's not good players out there. Clearly there is. But we believe in what we're doing, and that we think that, like Mark and like Brendan, if we invest in them, if we do double training units, we put the time into them, then the fruits of their labour will come out the other end through the first team. So far it's been working.
I did find a bit of irony that probably one of the last great Union draft picks ever is going to be a Scottish national. So, when you look at Elliott, it's just Jack Elliott who's going to be the last real picks that the Union ever did in the Super Draft.
And it just, Jack was like, I was on a call today with Chris Albright, and he said Jack was number 77 in the draft. Marlon LeBlanc is our second team coach, who was Jack's coach. And I met Jack, and he's speaking with his Cockney accent from London, and tells me he's a Rangers fan and he's Scottish. So I recommended him to the Scottish Football Association. I told my former colleagues there, because I do believe that Jack's at a level, and you see the consistency of his performances, that he could. He could play there. I truly believe that.
And he's got a very good golf swing, unlike Sergio Santos, as Adam and I can attest to. We've gotten to see both.
That's his Scottish roots, isn't it?
It must
the home of golf.
It must be.
You have to have one, or you can't come back into the country. That's the rule.
Yeah. To let everybody know what Adam was talking about, I want to say it's the third year in a row. The Union traded their draft picks this time, and everybody got excited. It really isn't $225,000 to Nashville. It's really $50,000 with incentives. But they traded pick number 46 and 73 of the MLS Super Draft. I'm going to ask everybody, Tommy, Devin, Adam, your thoughts on the future of the draft. But all I'm going to say is, if you remember the game of Clue, I've got Ernest in the library with a candlestick.
Yeah, I don't think that anybody should be really surprised by this. It's not anything new that Ernst is doing. It's been known for a couple of years now that he's not interested in the draft by any means. So,
yeah, I think that because we've got such a not unique identity, but we work really hard to develop players in a certain way, a certain methodology. It's hard to bring someone who's been at college for 4 years, and I'm not criticising that. Again, I would say that I've been around that environment, and there's some top players there, but it's hard to change the habits that they've developed there into the way we want them to play.
Yeah, I think the kids that are playing in college might be what you call the late bloomers, and that they need a year or two in college to get their body to develop and be on top. But if you almost go through the 4 years, you might not be the pick. You guys you pulled Matt back from Harvard. What, within a year the team pulled him back? He only did 1 year at Harvard? Yeah. So yeah,
we did. We tried to persuade him to not to go to Harvard. It's a hard It's a hard sell, that, you know.
Yeah.
Don't go to Harvard, come
Don't
to
go
us,
to
and
Harvard.
you might not make it anyway. You know, give up your Harvard
The-
degree when
Yeah.
you know that you're set for life, and come and play for the Union for.
Matt, the girls
A
are
few
ugly at
$1,000s,
Harvard.
you
Don't
know.
go there.
Look, he's
Yeah.
a smart man. He's from Wayne himself, so eventually, if this whole soccer thing doesn't work out, I'm sure he'll find himself back in Cambridge one way or another.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Adam, is he really that smart? Do I have to take you back to the Wayback Machine,
Well,
where
he's
December
a
of
youth.
2019, you and I single-handedly whooped him and Sebastian Latou in a trivia contest on public access television?
They had no chance. Adam Can was on the squad. There was doomed from Jump Street. There was nothing they could have done about that, you know. Also, some of
That's
those
true,
questions were
but-
suspect, and you and I both know this.
It's not taken away from our win. Every time I see Matt and Sebastian, I remind them all the time. I don't even have to tell Adam Can. He just walks away from me because he knows I'm going to tell him how bad we beat them for $100 at Van Tresca.
Yeah, man, that pocket square that I got is really nice, let me tell you. Got
Oh,
the J.
man.
Wright collection.
Real quick before we get off of Tommy and let him stop answering questions, I do have a couple more, so I'll put you back in the hot seat here. Now, I just had a couple questions about the whole MLS Next program and kind of
Mhm.
how that's factored into the academy and how that's factored into what you guys do.
Yes. Well, it was surprising to me that coming from a background where I worked at the governing body in Scotland, one of the foundational pillars of a governing body is player development. So it was strange that US Soccer had to they disbanded the development academy. I found that really, it was hard to get our head around that, and that was where we were developing our players. That's where Brendan and Mark cut their teeth, and it was a big part of our development program. So, fortunately, MLS stepped in. Their technical director, Fred Lipka, approached some of the academy directors, the more senior ones, myself included, and we set up an MLS Academy Leadership Group and MLS Academy Directors Working Group, and we worked with the MLS to devise a competitive program, games program, where we got best be best competition. Hence MLS Next. So we've been behind it right from the start. We've used our experience, our ideas, to try and put in place a robust program that replaces the DA, and I think that we're on the road to doing that. The problem was that we got it started, or we were working through to get it started, and then the world collapsed. COVID hit, and so it's had to be essentially regional. It's been rolled out in maybe a smaller way than we would have hoped. But I'm confident that in the years ahead, it'll take the place of the Development Academy and maybe even enhance it.
Devin, I've got one question and then go to yours because it's just a little. This happens in pro sports, and it happens in high school and colleges. Does this happen within the academy where you find rivalries? Is there like one academy that certain players can't stand playing? They want to beat them? Or is it just kind of level across the field and they just take this approach like, I've got to get the job done and that's it?
No, you do. I mean, you do find rivalries. First of all, in our local area, I mean, the union badge is a heavy shirt to wear because there's a big responsibility that comes with it. So all the local clubs are desperate to beat us. Like we've developed a rivalry with FC Delco, which was continental, and then and a famous club in the history of US soccer.
Yeah.
And then you've got the DC United and Red Bull rivalries. When we play them, just like our first team has, we travel into Bethesda. There's a lot of big clubs. Bethesda, Baltimore Armour. There's a lot of big clubs in our area. PDA. When I came over, PDA were the national champions. And their staff was one of the guys was he's still there, an English guy, and the other guy, Jerry, was a Celtic fan, and so that kind of created a rivalry with me right away. So but PDA like for us to come in, we were like a spaceship landing on someone else's territory. Boom, right away. Oh, the union are investing this, they're doing this, they've got this fancy school, and everybody wanted to beat us. So, and I think that when I was at Rangers, I learned that because of the status of the club, your players, we weren't allowed to play friendlies. It's the same for us here. We're not allowed to play friendly matches. Every game our opponent takes so seriously, which is great for our boys, that we have to, in turn, approach it. Every game we approach like that.
Awesome. And just one last thing I had is, you talked about like the path from, the academy to the first team. And I was just curious, how does that relationship between the academy and the first team kind of develop? And, where are the decisions actually made from like, this guy's ready to go up or we want to see this guy with the first team?
Good question. That's a good question. So I'm fortunate that we've put a structure in place, which doesn't always exist in every club. The technical decisions are made by a committee called the Technical Heart. So Jim Curtin, Ernst Tanner, Chris Albright, Richie Graham and myself sit on the Technical Heart. So all of the main decisions, hiring of staff, player progress, style of play, strategy, come through that group. One of the functions of that group is to oversee a player progress strategy. So at some point, there's over maybe 3 or 4 times a year, the player progress committee sits and we go through all the top talents. And in the room there are sports psychologists, there's nutritionists, there's people from education, sports science, and the soccer side. And we discuss, like Brendan Aronson had a transition plan that took him from age 16 through to the first team. And we worked back through all the steps that he would take. And I don't think we've got them all right, but way back before I became a soccer player, I was a planning engineer. I trained at college, and so I understand the process of developing, taking raw material, putting it in the manufacturing plant and have it come out the other end. And that's what the academy's like.
Awesome.
It's a process.
Yeah, but you can't plan for, Marco getting hurt and Brendan putting Brad Guzan on his ass in Atlanta, and all of a sudden that changed his whole trajectory within the first team.
You're right. You're right, Matt. You can't plan for it, but you can be ready for it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I always think that if you're not ready and your chance comes, you can't take it. Brendan was ready for it. We had planned for it. We couldn't foresee that.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in my room here in Wayne, PA, if I can mention that again. Sitting here, watching the goal go in and jumping off the chair, delighted that Brendan had. We talked about the young boys. We were in a hotel one time in Dallas, and I think it was Montreal were staying in the same hotel, their first team. And Didier Drogba was in the hotel. I think he played for Montreal. I might be getting mistaken, but
yeah.
And maybe
he played for Montreal.
No, he did.
Yeah, he did. So, and our young boys were, and I think Mark and Brendan were there. They were in awe of him. And I'm saying to them, guys, he's just like the rest of you. Next year you could be playing against him. And I saw a picture in the paper of Mark against Zlatan. So Brendan, he soaked all that up, and he was ready, so that when his chance came, he could take it, and he did.
Yeah,
that's awesome. And just on that note, one last thing. Sorry, guys. So I mean, that being said, so I mean, I'm assuming the guys that have come through the academy and are going to the first team next year. Obviously, I'm sure you know them pretty well by this point. So there's 5 guys going up for the next year that signed their contracts. Is there anyone specific You have any good comments for anything you want to say about any of them, or any
Oh, I don't like
good
to sing. I
nuggets
don't like.
of information?
I'm always reluctant to single players out. But what I would say is that each of them has a special weapon, a special talent, and that's why they're there. So they don't all have the same ones, but each of them has a chance, and I can see them in my mind's eye when you mentioned the five, and I think a couple of them will break through this year. I won't tell you which ones because I'll probably get it wrong. But you can be sure that even if they don't, that they will have been made ready and hardened and toughened to be ready for the rigours that lie ahead.
Well, if you want to whisper it into the mic, I'll tell you who Ernst told me he thought was going to break through. But no, the only thing we keep saying to everybody when we talk about this, like, give them all a chance. They're 17 years old. Don't expect them to come out of the gate. But, we know the quality's there. So we're trying to let the Union fans know, like, okay, deep breath. Yeah, they're the future. Calm down. We still think Anthony Fontana is going to have a breakout year. That's like our unofficial prediction, that we think he's the next out of the academy guys to go, oh my God, like just consistently put it all together.
What he did last year when every time he came onto the field. I mean, I always thought that Anthony he wasn't a great goal scorer, but he was a scorer of great goals. If I can steal somebody's quote, I don't know whose it was, but that describes Fontana. And I think with a bit more consistency than, and he's still a young man. When I came here at first and I watched the MLS, they would say young player, rookie, just making his debut at 22. And I'm thinking, 22? But that's because he went through the draft and went to college. These young boys that we've got now, as you say, are 17.
Yeah.
So, they've got 4 or 5 years to get to that stage. So, yeah, probably the one that Ernst whispered in your ear would be the one that I would whisper in your ear. But who knows?
Yeah, the funny thing is, for Union fans, when we started, we would go have beers with the players.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to have beers with their parents.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's not just it's when I was I'm trying to remember the age groups when I was coaching the Scotland players. It might have been 90, or maybe 96s or 98s or whatever. I can't remember, but now we're recruiting players that are born in 2015. You're thinking 2015. Oh my gosh,
the youth.
So.
Yeah, it makes me older than I feel. Then again, Devin makes me feel older than, so.
Glad I could help. Matt.
I'm pretty sure Matt believes Devin's 15, and the whole time we've just been dealing with that fact. I don't know if that's a true statement, because he was like, Devin, do you remember Carlos Ruiz, right? Like, I'm not... That... Okay, yes. Cool, right? Because
yes. I'm not that young. I mean, I am not 15. I can attest I am not 15 years old.
You mean Carlos Ruiz, the baseball player you remember, or Carlos Ruiz, the striker?
Both.
I mean, the striker, because I don't watch baseball, but there's that.
He's like, he knows the human exists. He's like, anyway.
Oh, all right. Well, we've got a little bit more time. Tommy, I'm going to just make an assumption that you've got some interest in the Premier League and what's going on over there.
Yes. Yeah.
So we said it in the pre-show. Adam and I support Chelsea, which has been rough. And then Devin's a Tottenham fan, which has been this meteoric rise. So we're going to let you comment on both teams, but I just have one question for Adam first.
What's that, Matt?
Adam,
yes,
as a fan of Chelsea, who gets fired first?
All right,
Lamps? Wait. Or Christian Pulisic's PR person?
Look, man, Let's let first off, Lamps gets fired because Lamps got to get fired. I don't know. I mean, not because it's really his fault. It's just you can't spend $220 million and then not do well. Like that's the world we exist in now. We want instantaneous
But
results.
I mean, you say they're not doing well, but it's not like they're middle of the table.
Sir,
right
you know
now.
what our standards are, and you know what's happening, and these two things are not meeting. You know, if we were like, you know, Sunderland or something, you know, I'd be like, yes, no, we're doing great. This is a banger on season. I'm like, no. We're fighting for Europa spots right now. This is not ideal. But
Welcome to the club.
That's a winning season for Tottenham, fighting
that
for
is,
Europa.
I mean, but no. But ultimately what I'm saying is whoever said, Christian, we need you in a maroon tank top and distressed jeans for this GQ shoot, that person needs to be fired. Absolutely. Twice on Sunday. That was and here's the thing, I'm here for the modeling. I'm not against the general modeling thing. It was just a bad shoot. That was just all it was. It was quite embarrassing.
Oh, yeah. It just looked off. The whole
He looked
thing.
uncomfortable. Like he looked like someone was
Yes.
like in the background just being like, you better do this. Like someone at Chelsea PR was just like, we need you to be sexy, please.
Tommy hasn't gotten to see this yet, but I can't wait because I'm sure he's going to send us an email as soon as he sees it and be like, good God, what was he thinking?
Yeah, I don't subscribe to GQ magazine.
It's for the
And
best.
we had a Zoom call with Christian Pulisic because obviously he's from Pennsylvania, and one of our coaches was friendly with his agent, and he came on and spoke during lockdown, and spoke brilliantly, with a lot of humility and great information for the young lads. But you know, I guess he's making hay while the sun shines, and his agents advised him to go into the shoot, and he's done it. You know, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's
Now
it's
we
not
do
good.
have a 10-year plan that we want to loop you in on. So it involves your 13s team. They'll all be about 22, 23 years old, playing for the Union first team, and we think Christian Pulisic will then want to return home to his native Pennsylvania and then just run wild all over MLS. So we just want to make sure that you're on board with that plan and you make the proper calls.
Yeah, I mean, I've always got a saying that teams don't make debuts, but players do. You know, so even though our under 13 team's kind of invincible and they won the GA Cup and they did brilliantly in Brazil, it would be great to think that we could see them right the way through the system and they could take to the field as our first team. That would be fantastic. But life's not that good. But maybe a number of them will do it, and Christian can come back.
We're
and
just
join
hoping
them.
like 7.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure he'll be on GQ's front page then, though. I think he.
The GQ senior circuit,
Maybe
like,
AARP's publication.
Reader's Digest. He gets on Reader's Digest cover.
Yeah,
That's what
Reader's
he
Digest.
gets.
That's more like it. That's what I'm reading these days.
Devin, I only have one more thing about Premier League, and then we can kind of wrap this up. And we'll invite Tommy to this. So February 3rd, 3:45 p.m. It looks like Tottenham's playing Chelsea. Do we dare blow off work and have a viewing party somewhere, have some pints, and watch the SOB derby? Adam, do we take an embarrassing moment, or do we just pretend this game doesn't happen?
No, we take an embarrassing moment because the fun part is both of our teams are not going to win anything this season. So it's going to be like it's kind of like, when that game that happened a couple of days ago when the Browns were playing the Steelers in football, and you're like, well, both of you guys are terrible right now. So I mean, whoever wins this is fine, but I guess, no, it's going to be fun. It's going to be painful because watching Chelsea football right now is pain inducing, but other than that, I haven't seen Devin since the regular season. We'll do some nice distancing, get our pints 17 feet apart from each other, but it'll be a good time. I'm excited.
Here's the only issue: we will be doing very good social distancing because I will be X amount of miles across the
Ooh,
country. in
even
California.
better. So, like,
you'll be very
you'll be doing it
distant.
at like 7:35 in the morning. This is really good.
Yes,
I'm here.
I will be drinking at 7 o'clock in the morning watching this.
Please
game,
find me the
other side of
bar
the
that
country.
was open at the time, and I'm hoping it's the airport.
I will try. I will try.
I will put calls into a couple local breweries that we're friends with and see if they can open up the tasting room, and we'll have an event. And Tommy, we'll have to get you and the coaching staff out there because by 3:45, you guys are done, right?
On a, what is that, a Saturday?
No, it's a Wednesday, right?
Oh, it's a Wednesday. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, this is a
3:45.
Wednesday game. Yeah.
No, we aren't done. But I, as the director of the program, I can give the guys a day off. So if you're inviting us, we'll be there.
Y'all got to leave
We
early.
are
that
inviting you, and I'll
traffic.
send the official. We'll send the official invite once we get the word out. But Devin, do we have anything else in housekeeping, or are we wrapping it up?
Brendan Aronson scored.
Brendan
Did,
Aronson did
Tommy, did
score.
you see that on YouTube with Brendan scoring?
I
and-
saw it in the friendly game.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, I think I was speaking to Jim Curtin today. He mentioned it, and I think it was like a pre-season. It's like a pre-season they're going through
Yeah,
again. So normally you play slightly weaker opposition, but it looked like he popped up in the box and scored.
Did his thing. Yep.
He did his
Yep.
thing. Yeah, he did his thing.
And then I guess
It
the
was great to see.
only other piece is Adam Cobra Kai is back.
Yo, man, Kai Wagner is in a world where reliable left backing is so hard to find. To have an elite gentleman like himself, who himself is proof positive of the other means of union acquisition, which is, scouring the unwashed rocks and divisions where we can find a premier talent that just hasn't, been showcased the way that it should, I say this often. A lot of my friends are friends of other teams in MLS, whether it be Red Bull, New York, Revs, Galaxy, whomever, and they all say the way that the Union have done it in the past 5 to 6 years, and this even goes back to the Ernie Stewart time period, is the way you need to do it in North American soccer at this point, A lot of these teams can go get these DPs, sign the Zlatan, sign the Wayne Rooneys and all that. But then once these guys leave, what do you have? What's the scenario? You need some consistency. You need gentlemen who are local, and not even local, but just invested in what you're trying to do here in Philadelphia. And I think that's what they've cultivated here.
Yeah, I think that the squad has a nice balance. We have some senior players, players that have been around the club a long time, so know what the identity of Philadelphia is. A blue collar, hard working, resilient environment. You've got young players who've come up through the system that people can identify with. They're one of their own. They went to school with them. Some of the season ticket holders are related to them, and then you've got these acquisitions that Ernst Tanner and Chris Albright have engineered, which really strengthen the squad. So you've got that sort of a balance, and I think we've got that right at the moment.
Yeah, without a doubt, we're all looking forward to 2021. We're pretty confident it's going to be better than 2020, and 2020 was a pretty special year. So we're definitely looking forward to it. And
We're
when
finally
we end the
getting
recording,
the
we'll all
Open
say
Cup.
the name that we think is going to be the breakout star.
You're
Devin, do
finally
we have
winning the
anything
US
else,
Open
or are
Cup.
we?
That's it.
All right, everyone. Thank you very much for tuning in to episode number 51. And Tommy, thank you so much for coming on with us. It's been a pleasure, and we are looking forward to having many, many more conversations with you.
Yeah, my pleasure. And Matt, a special thanks for bringing the Supporters Shield up to the Academy today. That was above and beyond.
Anytime you guys want to see it, we will bring it over. You just let us know. And everybody out there, remember, wash your hands.
Sexy.